Alright, we're going to make a video here on how to make your top for the nightstand. The first thing you are going to do, grab your top trim. So you have a front piece that's extra long. Your top should be 12.5 by 16. And you have a couple side pieces that are a little bit longer than 16 inches. Longer than 12. Your front is 16, so this has to be about 19 inches to be on the safe side. The first thing we need to do is decide which direction our miters are going to go. So basically, if this wood was joined together, we could butt join it, but that wouldn't look very good because of the end grain. Or if we did it this way, the same thing. So what we do is a miter cut. So if it's laying on top of the other wood, think about how this would come together. We're going to cut a 45-degree miter. This top piece here, all that penciled in area will disappear. And then on the bottom piece is the other half, and this inside portion is going to disappear. So basically, with this gone and this gone, we'll have a nice sharp corner. On this end of the front piece, we're not going to make a mark yet, so we'll set that aside. However, we do know the direction of this miter is going to be in this way, and we know the direction on that one will be that way. Okay? So basically what you should have at this point, something that looks like this and that. We can now go ahead and make our miter cuts. Notice we are not making a cut on this end. Miter saw, and we'll make our miter cuts. If you think about it, we really didn't have to draw the direction of our angles. However, I did that so you could understand how it comes together. We could have just came over here and made a miter cut on this end, a miter cut on this end, and a miter cut on this end. This one is going a different direction. However, if we flipped it over, we would be going the right direction. There's no decorative edge on this wood, so we just cut 1, 2, 3 miters and we're good. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll turn our saw to 45 degrees. It will lock in. We do not need our stop gauge. Slide your piece over. There's a black strip here. Make sure this end is hanging over the right side of the black strip. This is our danger zone, so we want our wood not to fall inside this crack here. Also, you'll get a nice, clean, sharp miter. So you have to make sure this is pushed far enough over, but not too far where you lose your length that you need. So we also have a laser light on this. We could turn our laser on to see approximately where our saw blade is going to land. I prefer to use my eyesight, but we'll just leave the laser light on. Okay, one cut. Let's check it. Always move your saw up. Get your thumb down on the bottom of the board to hold it tight. Squeeze and push down. That's very important. Don't stand here with your fingertips up in the air like that. That is not a safe cut. Okay. Here we go. Keep your eye on the blade and the wood in your hand and make sure nothing moves. Don't move your head, don't move your hand, don't move your feet. And you'll get a nice clean miter cut. And we have one more. The right side of the laser light is here, the left side is here, and the blade is going in between those two lights. If you can, always try to lock your saw in so it doesn't move forward on you. And that's it for those cuts right now, and we have to make one last measurement mark. We have two sides, and you notice the sides are interchangeable. Okay, so We got a nice burn edge there, so let's put that on that side and this one on this side. I'll lay this out of the way. The back of your miter is right here, and this is the front of your top. The back of the miter should be flush with the front of this top. It should not stick out, and it should not be back behind here. Okay? So we'll get that just right, and you just have to eyeball it. Bring this over, and the two pieces should make a nice sharp point with no gap, and that looks real good right now. Hold it firmly. Make sure it hasn't moved on you. Then come over here on the back side at about a 45-degree angle, and you will draw a pencil mark straight up. This is our pencil mark that I just drew, and I'm going to make a little tick mark on the top side. I can take my combination square and lay this right on here like so. See if I can do it another way to make this easier. There we go. I want to go to the right side of this tick mark here. So I'm going to just slide my combination square over, put my pencil mark down first. And all this is doing is again showing me the direction of my cut. And when you bring your saw blade down, you can actually see where it's going to land. I can also do the same thing on the other side in case I don't want to turn my saw. So we'll draw that line down, and here you just got to be careful you don't get confused on which way the cut is going. So it has to go that way. Find my mark, and we can check it according to this side. That's flared out, so this has to be flared out. And where's that mark? There it is. This is a little extra work, but it might save yourself if you get confused over at the saw. Now this one I drew slightly back, so I may not trust that mark quite as much. I'd want to go to the outside of either mark. Okay, so we go back to our miter saw, make this cut, and hopefully we're not too short. If we are too short, we'll take all three pieces over to the white belt sander, and we'll sand down this back edge of these pieces. What that does is it lowers the thickness of our wood to a thinner material and brings us down on this miter. By coming down on the miter with your overall thickness, it gives you extra length in case you cut it too short. We can do this a couple of times before having to cut a new piece because it would get too thin. If I didn't have the line or the laser light, I could pull my saw blade down, and I want to look where the back of the blade is going to hit the wood. It should go just barely to the right of my tick mark back there. So I'm going to adjust my camera to see if you can actually see that. Okay, I think I finally have the shot I want here. As you look down this left side of the blade, you can see that it's slightly right to the line, maybe even more than slightly. Down there, that's pretty much where my cut is going to end up. So that's where I'm looking at, more so than up here. It's going to take more off back here than up towards the front, believe it or not, once it finally goes down all the way. So let's see how this cut works. We'll leave it, move it just slightly over this way, so we're going to go right on that line and see what happens. Hold her tight. So you can see it was way to the right of that laser light. Let's see, how about our mark though? Our mark was cut perfectly. So by being conservative, we were able to get an accurate cut, and this should be absolutely perfect when we go back to our top. Okay, I've placed the boards down. We have a nice tight fit here and a nice tight fit here.